After nearly a decade, we finally got Now You See Me 3, but was it worth the wait? Hello and welcome to Cinema, where we focus on the film. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Is it good, bad, or somewhere right in the middle? I'll be keeping it spoiler free, but taking it right into my thoughts. Generally, this is a story that's covering the return of the Four Horsemen, including interesting revelations of what you're taking out of all these characters. I went into this blind and had just watch the first and second Now You See Me films before watching this, and going into it, even though I was new to the franchise, there was fresh revelations of introducing a new cast. What we get out of Justice Smith, Dominic Sessa, and Ariana Greenblatt introduced something that's great additions to where we're leading on, tacking on the things of the eye, expanding upon the world in some ways, going into new locations, doing new things, that things are constantly moving in their own way. And what we get out of Ruben Fleischer as a director, even though he's new as a director to this franchise, there's something that's good in the way that he does his style. It's constantly moving, and he's done action movies in the past, so there's not necessarily anything that's devoid of feeling too different from the other films. And tacking on the main Four Horsemen, including the original Isla Fisher, coinciding with Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, and playing all with that cast, as well as a little bit of Morgan Freeman, you're just getting something that's really great and flavorful throughout the runtime. And tacking on Rosamund Pike as the villain to the story just really adds a poignant turn to her expression, to how she tries to get control, to the information we get fed about her that really feels clean cut, yet confusing in all the best ways. Whenever there's a magic show that's flashy and that's fun, action filled, now there's certain stretches, of course, to which you have to succumb to making this all make sense. It's not real magic to make it all work in the ways planned out. So there's ultimately some sacrifices to make this story energetic, but that's still what can make this story entertaining, figuring out some of the backstory to our characters, especially the new ones such as Justice Smith, and following about those trios, and being able to tack on all these new elements just makes it a flavorful ride that comes about along the way. But the new additions of the cast, plus the variations of the banter with the older cast, just makes it something interesting and sets up for something new while containing itself within its own environment. Which takes me into the positive. There's something about this environment of this show that really builds. I love the cast, what we get out of the additions, what we get out of the older ones. It feels like it has its strides, that it's taking a turn. The director, Ruben Fleischer, is really good at handling the action of all the magic, making all the set production fun and flavorful, and having the return of the original cast is something that I enjoy, almost tacking this on as a legacy sequel, even though it isn't your typical one. And given the time with the script, there's just a lot of fun to be had falling about along the way, reminding me of things that I just watched from the first two, that it handles some of the beats in the right proper manner. Which takes me into the negatives. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, there's certain strides which this film takes where some of the humor can be a little offbeat. It breaks some of the emotional tension, and some of the emotions are not necessarily tampered with within the best manner. It's not always flowing in the best way, even if the editing can be pretty good. Everything else surrounding it can be a little contrived in the way the story and the writers want it to go, the way things are set up, and the thinking back to how things came to be with certain twists that happen near the end, kind of take this story out of proportion to what it's aiming toward. Certain things don't need to happen in order for the story to work, but it does anyways, and those are just minor nitpicks. But the way you're taking some of the action, some of the magic, and it's not always completely consistent or some characters could use magic in situation to get out of areas, but they don't. And then the flip side of that is going in certain situation, things can be too easy, or they have to contrive their way that what they speak doesn't always line up with the execution of their plan within the aftermath. So that's just certain things that can get in the way of being something better than it was. So that's just my personal thoughts on Now You See Me, Now You Don't, which I have to rate a simply 7 out of 10. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Now You See Me 3. Was it good, bad, or somewhere right in the middle? Let me know all your thoughts. Make sure to like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't already to join in film culture community where we talk about the love of cinema as a whole. So let's just all make sure to do yourself a favor and go watch a movie.